Some people begin their mornings with laughter. Others with music. For me, mornings used to begin in silence. I'm an old man now. I live alone in a quiet neighborhood on the edge of town. The walls of this house still remember the sound of my wife's footsteps, her voice humming softly in the kitchen, the gentle clinking of spoons in our favorite coffee mugs. But she's gone now. And so is the sound. People often say mornings are a fresh start. A clean slate. But when you've lost someone who made your mornings meaningful, the start of the day can feel like a heavy weight. A reminder. Of absence. Of quiet. For years, I didn't eat breakfast. What was the point? The table felt too big. The chair across from mine, too empty. I'd pour a cup of coffee, maybe. Let it go cold. Most days, I just wandered around the house until noon, not really hungry, not really full. Just numb. The doctors told me I needed to eat something in the morning. That it would help stabilize my blood sugar. Improve digestion. Give me energy. But food never felt comforting without her. Especially in the morning. Especially when the silence echoed. I didn't hate food. I just hated what it reminded me of, what I no longer had. And breakfast, the most tender meal of the day, became the hardest one to face. That's the truth of it. I hated breakfast. Not because of the food. But because of the memories. Because of the silence. Because of how lonely scrambled eggs can feel when there's no one to say, "Don't forget your tea." And yet, one small bowl of warm oats and banana would later change that. But that's another part of the story. Back then, when my wife was still with me, breakfast was the best part of the day. We didn't have much, just 2 slices of toast, a bit of butter, and 2 mugs of strong black coffee. But it wasn't about the food. It was about the ritual. About the way she'd smile while spreading butter, the way she'd always give me the toast with the darker edges, claiming, "You like it crispy, remember?" She always woke up first. By the time I came downstairs, the kitchen was already warm with the smell of coffee. The sunlight would sneak in through the curtains, catching the steam rising from our mugs. She'd hum a song, never the full tune, just little fragments that danced in the air. And we'd sit. Just the 2 of us. No rush. No noise. Just the rhythm of spoons stirring and quiet conversation. That small window of time, every morning, was ours. Our moment of peace before the world woke up. But when she passed away, breakfast died with her. I tried to keep the habit at first. I really did. But it wasn't the same. The toast didn't taste right. The coffee was too bitter. The silence, once comforting, became suffocating. I'd sit down out of habit, but the empty chair across from me screamed louder than any alarm clock ever could. So I stopped. I put the coffee maker away. I left the bread to go stale. I couldn't bear to recreate a scene that no longer had her in it. People talk about grief like a storm, something that hits hard and then fades. But the truth is, it's more like fog. It rolls in slowly, quietly. It lingers. And it wraps around the smallest parts of your life, like breakfast, and turns them into ghosts. That's why I stopped eating in the mornings. Not because I wasn't hungry, but because I was too full of memory. It started gradually. I didn't notice it at first, just a little more tired in the afternoons, a bit slower getting out of bed. I told myself it was normal. I was getting older, after all. But then I began to feel lightheaded. I'd forget things. I'd nod off in the middle of the day, waking up disoriented on the couch, not sure what time it was. One morning, I stood up too quickly and had to grab the kitchen counter to steady myself. My heart was racing, my vision blurred. That's when I finally made an appointment to see the doctor. He was a younger man, kind enough. Asked me the usual questions, took some blood, checked my pressure. Then he looked me in the eye and said, "You need to start eating breakfast." I must have made a face, because he repeated it, slower this time. Breakfast isn't just another meal, it's the foundation of your day. Especially at your age. Your blood sugar's unstable. Your digestion's sluggish. You're running on fumes. I nodded. Politely. But inside, I felt nothing. It wasn't that I didn't believe him. I understood the science. I knew the body needed fuel, especially in the morning. But the thought of breakfast, it brought a familiar emptiness. That quiet ache that sits in your chest and doesn't move. What he didn't know, what I couldn't explain, is that breakfast wasn't just food for me. It was a memory. A ghost. A chair across from mine that no longer had her in it. And every time I thought about preparing something in the morning, I felt more lonely than hungry. Still, I left the clinic with a pamphlet in hand and a list of suggestions: oatmeal, yogurt, eggs, whole grain toast. I tucked it into my coat pocket and forgot about it by the time I got home. That night, I lay awake longer than usual. My stomach growled. Not loudly, just a gentle reminder that something was missing. But it wasn't food I was craving. It was warmth. Comfort. A reason to care. That was the thing, my body was hungry, but my heart wasn't. And so, the next morning, I stood in the kitchen staring at the empty counter. The toaster sat untouched. The fridge hummed softly. I could almost hear her humming again, as if time hadn't passed. I didn't make breakfast that day. But something had shifted. For the first time in years, I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe that was the first step. One rainy morning, the kind where the clouds hang low and the world feels like it's been wrapped in a damp gray blanket, I found myself scrolling through my phone. It's not something I do often. Technology and I have never been close friends. But sometimes, when the rain taps gently on the window and the silence in the house grows too loud, I reach for something, anything, to distract me. That morning, it was a short video. Just a minute long. A young woman in a cozy kitchen, talking about how she starts her day. She had that kind of soft voice people use when they're trying to soothe a child or comfort a friend. And she said, oatmeal with banana, it's simple, but it changed everything for me. It makes my body feel nourished. It's a small act of care. I don't know why that stuck with me. Maybe it was the way she said a small act of care. Or maybe it was the way she looked down at the bowl with such peace, like she'd found something that grounded her. All day, those words echoed in my head. Oatmeal with banana. A small act of care. I didn't rush to the store. I didn't make any grand decisions. But something about that video lingered. It was like someone had lit a tiny candle in the corner of a dark room, just enough to notice the shadows. I kept thinking, maybe I could do that. Just once. Just to see. It didn't sound hard. A scoop of oats. Some water or milk. A banana, sliced thin. No fancy ingredients. No complicated steps. Just warm, soft, and quiet, like a whisper of kindness to start the day. That night, as the rain continued to fall, I set an old pot on the stove for the first time in a long while. Maybe it wouldn't taste like it used to. Maybe it wouldn't fill the same space she once did. But maybe, just maybe, it could fill a little part of me that had been empty for too long. The next morning, I stood in front of the stove, unsure but determined. The kitchen was quiet, just the soft hum of the fridge and the occasional drip of water from the faucet. I boiled a small pot of water, then peeled half a banana, mashing it carefully with a fork. It wasn't much, just a little banana, a handful of oats, and some water, but for some reason, it felt like the beginning of something. I stirred the oats, and the sweet scent of the banana mixed with the warm steam rising from the pot. The smell, it wasn't like the old breakfasts we used to have, with the toast and the butter, the coffee brewing in the background. This was different. Simpler. Softer. And yet, somehow, it felt right. I poured the mixture into a bowl, took a deep breath, and sat down at the table. The chair across from me was still empty. But today, I didn't mind. Today, I was here. And that was enough. I took my first bite slowly, savoring the warmth, the softness of the banana, the earthiness of the oats. I didn't rush. It wasn't about finishing it quickly. It wasn't even about the taste. It was something else, something about the rhythm of it, the act of nourishing myself after all this time of neglect. As I ate, I found myself thinking. Not of the past, not of her, but of now. Of what this moment felt like. I was eating, and that in itself was enough. It wasn't a huge change. It wasn't some grand gesture. But it was a small, quiet act of care. A way of showing up for myself, even if it felt strange at first. By the time I finished the bowl, my stomach was settled. The tightness that had been there for so long was gone. It wasn't just the food that had changed me, it was the way my body responded. It felt like it was thanking me, as if it had been waiting for this moment, too. From that day forward, I ate oatmeal every morning. I didn't think too much about it. I didn't need to. It wasn't about fixing everything, or filling the empty space. It was just about something simple. A small act of care. And sometimes, that's all you need. As the days went by, I started to notice the changes. It wasn't sudden, and it wasn't dramatic, but it was there. I began sleeping better, deeper. The restless nights, the tossing and turning, they started to fade. My body, it seemed, was beginning to adjust. The oatmeal, simple as it was, had become something more than just food. It was a small, steady rhythm that my body had come to trust. My blood sugar stabilized. No more of those sudden spikes or the dips that made me feel faint by noon. I felt more grounded, more in tune with my own body. And, for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel so tired. So drained. I had energy, not much, but enough to move through the day without feeling like I was just waiting for it to end. But what mattered most was this: I had a reason to wake up. Each morning, I looked forward to it, my small bowl of oatmeal. I started adding a pinch of cinnamon, then some fresh strawberries one day, a spoonful of yogurt the next. Each morning, it was something new, a little variety in the simplicity, but always the same warmth, the same comfort. That bowl of oatmeal, the ritual of preparing it, became my own small act of living. It wasn't about filling the space that was left behind. It wasn't about trying to make the past come back. It was just about today. About taking care of myself, one small step at a time. The mornings became mine again. Quiet, yes. Still, yes. But also alive. I realized that sometimes, it's not the grand gestures that make a difference, it's the small, everyday things that bring us back to ourselves. My oatmeal, in its simplicity, had become a small, sacred ritual of life. A way of honoring the day, of honoring me. Now, I don't hate breakfast anymore. In fact, I look forward to it. It's not just the food, not just the oats or the banana, it's the moment. It's the quiet time when I remember her, when I think about the mornings we used to share. It's the smell of the oats as they cook, the way the warmth spreads through the kitchen, and how, for just a little while, I can feel her presence again. But more than that, breakfast has become a time when I listen to my body. I pay attention to the small signs it gives me: hunger, comfort, the need for nourishment. It's the first act of care I give myself each day, and in that, I've learned to honor my body, to show it the kindness it deserves. It's strange how something as simple as a bowl of oatmeal with banana can hold so much meaning. It's more than just a meal. It's a way of continuing. A way of loving. Loving life, even in its quiet moments. Loving myself, even in the absence of the familiar voices and the old routines. Through this small, everyday ritual, I've found peace. I've found the strength to keep going. It's a way to reconnect with the present, to cherish what I have, and to remember that love, whether for someone else or for yourself, can be simple, tender, and slow. And sometimes, it's found in the smallest of things: a bowl of oatmeal, a slice of banana, and a quiet moment to start the day. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. If you found this content helpful and want to continue supporting us, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. We truly appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more valuable content in the upcoming videos. See you in the next one.